Hey, thanks for taking the time to stop by the Peet Reet Show, and we're going to make it worth your while.
Oh, yeah.
But before we get to our guest, you have a long list of credentials to read.
Oh, my gosh, this goes on and on forever.
What's he doing on the Peet Reet Show with credentials like this?
I have no idea in hell why he's here, but amazing. This gentleman has done production.
And don't even say his name until you get all the way through.
Actor, musician, singer, impressionist, dancer, teaches life workshops. He's been on America's Got Talent. They called him the top 5 comedians of all time.
He's the top 5 comedians of all time.
Shared the stage with people like Patti LaBelle, Dennis Miller, Dana Carvey, Debbie Reynolds. Unbelievable. Worked in Vegas for many, many years. Tropicana host of his own show called Voices in My Head, where he does things like Sammy Davis Jr., Cher, and Sonny Bono. You got to see that. It's hilarious.
Actually, I did see it.
Did you?
Yeah, it's really amazing.
I loved it. Yeah. Worked for Disney, Dick Clark, and he is apparently the #1 Elton John impersonator in the world. He's done, I know.
And he said that was like golden handcuffs, and we'll talk to him about that too.
21 movies to his credit. Also been on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, America's Most Wanted, and Hollywood Squares, numerous commercials.
Well, thanks for stopping by the show. We don't have any more time left. I'm sorry. Steven Sorrentino, welcome to the show.
Hello, Peetish and Reedish. How are you?
We're very Irish.
Apparently.
So you're in Vegas.
Man, I sound like I retired and died. I mean, that's a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff. Congrats to you, man. Yeah. Great career.
Now,
deficit disorder, so I keep moving until things get fun, you know.
We were just sitting here talking to you beforehand, saying how much we like your fireplace. Now, he's in Vegas, okay? Now, what do you do in the fireplace in Vegas, Steven?
Stay warm. It gets cold here. People don't realize it even snows in the winter sometimes.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been there when it snowed.
Really?
Yeah, I have. I was there when it snowed.
No, I've only been there when it's boiling hot, which I like.
Yeah, when it's like 120 degrees.
Exactly.
And it feels like somebody put a hot hairdryer in. I like that too.
And you need one of those big long drinks as you walk down the street because, you get parched.
Yeah. So originally from where?
But you have to keep hydrated because when I first moved to town, I didn't do that. I was doing shows every single night. And I wasn't drinking a lot of water, and then one day I realized how dehydrated I was. I went to pee, and smoke came out.
Now that's a smoking gun.
Maybe.
Oh, you had to know that was coming, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So now you're originally from Long Island, right?
I am originally from Suffolk County, Long Island, New York.
Okay, so then how do we get into be an entertainer, producer, director, and everything else you did from Long Island?
I grew up in a show business family. My grandfather was kind of Ricky Ricardo. He had believe it or not, he had his own nightclub called Furlano's. His name was Tony Furlano, and he was the star of the band. He had his own orchestra and a nightclub. So it was the same thing as Ricky had. And my mother was his singer. So I grew up at 5, coming on stage. He'd give me the big finger and invite me up and sing Irish songs, and we're Italian.
Irish songs? Why Irish?
I don't know. Tura, lura, lura. I don't know. That's why I can speak with an Irish brogue, but I'm Italian. I don't know.
I thought maybe your mother was Irish or something.
Nothing. Zero. It doesn't make any sense. We're just Long Island Italians. I can speak tutto Italiano, see. That's fine. But he used to come up and I used to sing in Yiddish. I mean, it doesn't get weirder than me.
So you're in the top 5 comedians. I would put him up there with Jim Carrey, I think, your brother, wouldn't it?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Dude, please. I mean, it's another, like I said, I was at the SAG Awards. I said to Denzel Washington, he goes, I heard you were a good actor. And I'm like, you're a different planet. You're talking about a different planet. But I got compared to Jim once for a review for a movie I did. Check this out. It was I play a mafia boss drag queen in a movie called Homo Heights. This means I had to shave my back because I had open back ball gowns during the thing and shave my Italian knuckles. It was a nightmare.
Oh, was it like that 40 Virgin thing where they stripped off the wax,
Every day. I had a man who was Mr. Gay Leather, Minnesota, or something like that, which was a weird in itself. He would come to my room and wax me every morning.
Oh.
Well, you must be a real Italian if you got to be waxed overnight if it's all growing back, right? Either that or you're an ape.
3 times during the day. They would have to take the makeup off and do the face 3 times. So one of the reviews says he has a rubber face to match Jim Carrey's, which I took as a wonderful compliment. So that always touched me.
Now, do you do any Jim impersonations? Because I know you're an impersonator.
I don't. I am an impersonator, but I think Jim is a piece of everything the way I am too. But I mean, I know some of his heroes were probably, I don't know a lot about his background and stuff, but like Rich Little lives across the street.
Yes.
And we all, Jerry Lewis, hey, my swimming high.
Yeah, I listened to that a lot growing up.
I kind of figured. We're both kind of cut from the same cloth, and Jerry lives not far from here, and if I do that for him, I'll get beat up.
Yeah, I believe that. 'Cause I saw one of his latest interviews, and he wasn't being too nice.
No, that's your Jerry. That's what you get.
It's got a little old and cranky.
I would say crotchety.
Crotchety.
We're talking to Steven Sorrentino. He's in Las Vegas, and we're talking about his career, and we'll be talking about his interaction with Debbie Reynolds and what that was all about when we come back on the Peet Reet Show.
It's Peet and Reet here on the Peet and Reet Show, and we're here with Steven Sorrentino.
Live from Las Vegas.
Yes, producer, director, and so much more, impersonator, and funny, all-around funny guy.
Now
That's
you sing and you write music too, right?
I do. I started out really as a musician in Long Island. Like I said, my grandfather was a kind of a singer and a band leader. My mom was a singer. My father was a sax player. So it was natural progression. And I was writing songs by the time I was 16, and I worked for Elton John while I was 18.
Wow.
I got a deal with Paramount when I was like 26, and I wrote a lot of music, and I still write. I love writing for TV and film stuff and pop.
So how was it to work with Elton John?
Well, I was just a kid, so I was just one of the boys, but I'll tell you what, when we did the interaction, he was the most witty, except for Groucho Marx. I think he was one of the most witty people I've ever met in my life still. Very on top of it, everything, and he's got that lovely accent. His speaking voice is so low, but then he sings and it's all high, so who knew?
Now, you when I was talking to you the other day, you said it was actually a pair of golden handcuffs. Why is that?
Well, what happened was I wanted to be just like Elton John when I was a kid, and I believe in creative visualization, and I teach that in my mentor stuff. So I envisioned myself as Elton John on stage. The problem is I didn't envision my face in the Elton John costume, so I kind of didn't really get a lot of record sales and whatever, so eventually I couldn't, if you can't beat him, join him, and I became an Elton John impersonator, which there was very few at the time. There was 3 in the world, and I became the #1 and toured the planet, which was great, man. I worked all over the world, and I sang and played because I play 4 instruments. And eventually, I didn't want to do it anymore because I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a comedian and show my full self. And the money was so good, it was golden handcuffs. I couldn't say no.
Yeah.
And I bought this big house, but I mean, at one point I decided to say, no, I can't do it, and I have to, start again. But it was a great time. I got to be Elton John for like almost 10 years worldwide. Fantastic. Cheers, man.
Beautiful, beautiful. Hey, listen, what was it like working with Dick Clark?
Dick Clark was a really nice man with a big head. That's all I remember about him.
Was he really? Was he a true bobblehead? The original?
Yeah, absolutely. There's like 4 feet of head and 2 feet of feet, and that was it. Just like shoes with a head. But he was a true gentleman, and I did a tour with Intel Corporation that he produced, and he was such a nice man. Just a warm spirit, and I was telling a dirty joke once, and somebody went, and he was right behind me, and I turned around and I said, "Oh, Mr. Clark, I'm so sorry." He goes, "No, continue. It's very good." He was a gentleman, and I miss him. Was a sweet man.
How was it to be on Hollywood Square? Were you the middle square?
Yeah, we love the Square. Tell us about the Square, Hollywood Squares.
Weirder than fiction. And I just saw Jeffrey Tambor at the awards the other day, and he remembered me. I was a celebrity contestant, so I got to win. I got to keep the winnings. I also got paid as an actor, and I got residuals. It was the perfect situation. So I actually was dressed as Elton John on Hollywood Squares and played the game with Carol Channing, Jeffrey Tambor. It's when I met Doris Roberts, who was a sweetheart. And the center square was Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, wow. That's pretty impressive.
And Henry Winkler was the producer at the time, which was stranger than fiction.
Very cool. Listen, we'll be back with Stephen Sorrentino in just a minute on the Peet Reet Show.
It's the Peet Reet Show, back again, and we have a fabulous guest today. I mean, this guy has done it all. Producer, director, actor, musician, singer, songwriter. I could just go on and on. Stephen
Sorrentino.
And
we're gonna, you know what? We're going to get him up here at the casino because this guy is funny. He's good.
He's hilarious. You are hilarious.
Thank you. I'm funny. Fun to look at. I don't know. Something.
It's a little both. It's a little both. Hey, listen, we just found out we're both all good friends of Ricci Martin, son of Dean Martin, who passed away in August, and you had the opportunity to be around him and work with him.
Yeah, he and I worked at the Riviera Casino here in Las Vegas for about 5 or 6 months, every single night, and he would stay for my show and I would stay for his show, and Ricci was such a great guy and had great stories about his dad, and he was such a gentleman and looked young. I kind of hated him for that because he looked younger than me and he was like 2 years older. But one thing about Ricci was he would do That's Amore. And one night I snuck in to the inside the showroom and he said, "When the moon hits her eye, like a big pizza pie, that's amore." And I stood up, "That's amore." His eyes got so big. He's like, he said, "Don't ever do that to me. I thought my Uncle Jerry was here." "I'm so sorry." He was a wonderful man. I really loved working with him and talking with him. He had a beautiful spirit. Loved him.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to believe he's gone because it's like you said, he looked so young.
Yeah.
And he had so much energy. A great guy to work with and a great guy to work on shows with. So
Yeah.
we miss him a whole bunch. And then somebody that I loved and you loved as an actress, just, you know what, whatever you saw on camera was what this lady was.
It seemed that way to me anyway. I never knew her. I never knew Debbie Reynolds, but my gosh, she just seemed to be so down to earth and so not that whole starstruck thing where, she just seemed real.
Yeah, and you were a good friend. You worked with Debbie. Tell us about her.
It was a dream come true. Again, in creative visualization. When I was a kid, I used to say, someday I'm going to work with Debbie Reynolds. And I met her at a party, and I might have had too much to drink, and I'm kind of an older, big personality. And I remember taking a picture with her, and she looked something like this. And I kind of was like, oh, darn. So a couple of years later, I wasn't working in the show that I was happy in. And the next day, I got a phone call from a guy from 213, and he said, "Hey, I want you to open for my mom." I said, well, sounds interesting. Which way? So... So he said, I said, "Well, who's your mom?" He says, "Well, I can't tell you, but she needs somebody because good opening actor, she's not feeling well." And I said, "Well, who's your mom?" He said, "I can't tell you." I said, "I can't." Click. Call me back, and he said, "You're really going to want to work with my mom. She's sick and she needs you. Rip Taylor says you're great." I said, "I know Rip Taylor." "Who's your mom?" "Can't tell you." I said, "I'm already working." Click. The next phone call was, "Stephen, dear, it's Debbie Reynolds." I'm like, I said, "Miss Debbie, I can't. I wish and she goes, "Well, it's 4:30 tomorrow. You have to be dressed at 4:30 and be at the casino." I said, "I'm already booked." She goes, "I'll have a room for you and dinner, and we'll talk after the show, and you'll be with me for the next month." And I said, "I'm not available." She said, "You keep saying that." So at 4:30 the next day, I started with Debbie Reynolds, and I never stopped. I loved her like a mom and a sister and a crazy cohort.
Let's say, so you trashed the other show that you were going to do. So what was that you were supposed to do?
Well, to be as nice as possible, I trashed the other show.
And he can't tell you who it is.
Oh, no.
No. I will tell you, it was Legends in Concert. It was the Golden Handcuffs. I went back to being Elton John because I thought maybe I was kind of backsliding, and I felt like it. And you got a phone call from Debbie Reynolds saying, "Join me." Within a minute, my life changed. And I didn't have to go back to Elton John, and I started with Debbie. And then we worked all over, and then I wound up co-producing her show and traveling with her, and the stories that she told after dinner will last me a lifetime. One glass of wine and Debbie had 500 stories. It's just such a beautiful time. And she was such a giving, wonderful, and you said it best. What you saw is what you got. That was the real deal. No false. She was a beautiful, wonderful woman that used to call me and just go, How are you, dear? It's always dear, you know.
You said you felt unworthy in an interview about her, that you
To be
felt
around her,
unworthy.
work with
Yeah.
And I'm glad you picked up on that. For me, I'm just no matter where I go, like I was at the SAG Awards the other day with all these famous stars and Denzel Washington and stuff, and I kind of feel no matter what I do that even when I sing, I listen to the music and it sounds professional, and then it sounds like somebody's son. So, I never see myself as the star. I always see myself as just the idiot from Long Island. But for Debbie to say, when she would talk, she would say, us. And I'd say, do you have a mouse in your pocket? What do you mean, us? She goes, you and I, we're old show business. We're different than other people. And I felt unworthy of that. I mean, I was just like, really? Debbie Reynolds and Stephen Sorrentino? It doesn't compute to me. So that was just a beautiful, and I would just tear up when she would say that, and I just get all hugs all the time.
My children watch these series at Halloween called Halloween Town. And they fell in love with her. And it's just what you got even from Halloween Town. She was just a genuine, wonderful person. Now, you did an incredible tribute, a very emotional tribute to Debbie. And I know she meant a lot to you. Why is that?
Because she considered me an equal. And she would give me like when we went to parties and stuff, she would say, I'm doing this for you. You go first and you get the cameras and make sure you're... She just didn't have to do that. She wanted to help me with my career. And I know, Dennis Miller, not everybody's like that.
Was that a hint?
Little nudge, yeah.
Did you get a chance to talk to her at all before? I know her daughter passed away, Carrie Fisher, of course, which obviously had an effect on her passing as well.
I spoke to Debbie 3 weeks before she passed. I asked her, I call the kid all the time. I said, how you doing, kid? She goes, well, I'm walking around the house, doing the best I can, playing the part of Debbie Reynolds, whatever that means these days. And she sounded like the air was coming out of her because she's always that spunky, punch in the stomach, and I have a book's worth of stories where she sprayed me in the eye with chloroseptic once before a show. Well, she's a mom. If you want to see Debbie Reynolds, for me, my Debbie Reynolds is Mother with Albert Brooks. That movie is Debbie Reynolds because she said you have to have chloroseptic. I said, no, I've been singing since 1975. I don't do chloroseptic. Oh, no, open your mouth, dear. And she has the bottle. And I said, no, Debbie, I don't want it. Honestly, she goes, you have to. Everyone open. I'm like, no. And I opened my mouth and she shot me in the eye. Now I'm like, I have to go on in 30 seconds. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Debbie Reynolds' best friend, Stephen Sorrentino. I walk out on stage.
And everybody thought you were actually acting and crying, but you weren't.
I was doing my Sammy Davis, hi, babe,
Yeah, exactly. One eye, yeah.
Stephen, we could talk to you forever. We want to thank you so much for being on the Peet Reet Show. We are definitely going to have you on here again.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
We are going to do our best to work you into someplace up here where people get a chance to see your amazing talent.
I got a lot of stories, and I'd love to see you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, have a great night, and thanks for joining us on the Peet Reet Show. God bless. We'll see you next time.